yourself, and whenever I ask question, you can unmute yourself and ask your doubts. Okay. So last time we had gone through some prerequisites, synthetic division, and thereafter we have studied linear differential equation. What do you mean by linear differential equation? It is definition, some of the examples, and non-linear. What is the difference between linear and non-linear differential equation? So we have gone through it, and after that, we have studied one very short notation of denoting linear differential equation with a constant coefficient. So that is phi of d. Here you can see phi of d times y is equal to f of x. And after that, we have studied solution of homogeneous linear differential equation. So what do you mean by homogeneous linear differential equation? So let me explain. Okay. So homogeneous differential equation means that's the right hand side. If you treat f of x is equal to 0, so this what will left, it will give us that phi of dy equal to 0. That is nothing but the homogeneous differential equation. And to solving the homogeneous differential equation, so depending upon the nature of the roots, we have to write the solution. So we studied if you have differential equation like this, dy by dx minus m times y equal to 0, then in that case you will get the solution in terms of exponential form. And because of that, we are writing the solution of higher order differential equation in terms of exponential form. But so what about roots? If the roots of that auxiliary equation phi of d equal to 0 has m1, m2, m3, mn, and then all are real and distinct, then you have to write the solution in this way: c1 e to the power m1x plus c2 e to the power m2x, and so on, because these roots are real and distinct. But what about case number 2? If some of the roots are get repeated, for example, if you have this auxiliary equation 5d equal to 0 and whose roots are m1 is equal to m2 and rest of the roots are distinct from each other, then in that case the one root is get repeated, that is m1 is equal to m2. So in that particular case we have to write the solution c1 plus c2x e to the power m1x plus rest of, for the rest of the root we have to follow the solution from case number 1. Okay, so that is about case number 1 and case number 2 we have studied in yesterday's lecture. Now I will go to the I already gone through that proof why we need to adjust that x in case of repeated root. Okay, so this is the proof. So the case number 3 we are going to study, and the case is if some roots are complex. So you already familiar with the complex number, so it must have a real part and imaginary part. So coefficient of I, that is coefficient of I, that is beta, is nothing but the imaginary part, and this alpha is the real part of the that root. Suppose we have m1 is equal to alpha plus I beta is one root, then by default that equation must have its complex conjugate as a root, that is alpha minus I beta. What do you mean by complex conjugate? Simply you have to take the negative of that imaginary part. Here we can see alpha plus I beta is one root and its complex conjugate is alpha minus I beta. So by default, because if we have equation f of z equal to 0, then by default we have f of z bar also equal to 0. That means whenever you get one complex number as a root, then by default its complex conjugate is also root. That's why I use the word then. Okay, is also root of auxiliary equation phi of d equal to 0. Then in that case, what will be the change in the solution? So change is very little bit change is there, because we are going to use this identity e to the power I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta. So according to the case number 1, if we get two roots, then we have to write the solution in this way: y is equal to c1 e to the power m1x plus c2 e to the power m2x. Now here we have two roots, alpha plus I beta, and second root is what? Alpha minus I beta. Okay, in the same way I am writing the solution: y is equal to c1 e to the power, but root is what? Complex number, alpha plus I beta times x plus c2 e to the power alpha minus I beta, that is alpha minus I beta times x. Now we know that this identity, what identity? E to the power I theta cos is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta. This is nothing but the Euler's identity. Okay, Euler's identity. So we are going to use this Euler's identity to get the simplified form of the solution in case of complex roots. So I'm just simplifying it. C1 e to the power alpha x, because of the rules of exponents. I'm just getting this step e to the power alpha times x into e to the power I times beta x, okay, plus C2 as it is e to the power alpha times x, okay, into e to the power minus I beta times x. Now we can see e to the power alpha x and e to the power alpha x is a common term, so we can take it outside of the bracket. So in the next step we have e to the power alpha x in bracket C1 e to the power I beta x, okay, plus C2 e to the power minus I beta x. Now what about next? What about this e to the power I beta x and e to the power minus I beta x? So use this formula. Since e to the power I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta. So here we can see the value of theta is nothing but the beta x. Okay, so replace theta by beta x. So we get C1 as it is inside bracket, C1 as it is in bracket, cos, instead of cos theta we have cos beta x, instead of I sin theta we have I sin beta x. And what about second term? C2 as it is, and again we have to replace, we have to use this formula e to the power I theta. So instead of beta x, now this time we have minus beta x. So cos of minus beta x is same as cos of beta x, because cos of, you know, this cos is a even function, cos of minus x is same as cos of x. That's why cos of minus beta x is same as cos of beta x. And but what about sine? Sine of, let me remind you, sine of minus x is equal to minus times sine x, and that's why we get here negative sign, that because we are putting theta equal to minus beta x, so we get minus I times sine beta x. Okay, that's why this negative occurs here. And thereafter, after that we have e to the power alpha x. Just collect the terms of cos beta x and collect the terms of sine beta x together. So we have c1 plus c2, and common term is cos beta x. And here we can see I times C1, okay, I times C1, and in the next term we have minus I times C2. That's why here minus I times C2 times sine beta x. Okay. Now these are just the constants. C1 plus C2 is an arbitrary constant. For simple notation, I am just using A, capital A, for C1 plus C2, and I times C1 minus I times C2 is also another constant. So I am using notation B for that constant. So after putting A equal to C1 plus C2 and B equal to I times C1 minus I times C2, we get the simplified form of the solution y is equal to e to the power alpha x in bracket, instead of C1 plus C2 we have A times cos beta x, and instead of I C1 minus I C2 we have B sin beta x. So let me brief the case number 3. If you have M1 is equal to alpha plus I beta as a one root, then by default you will get M2 is equal to minus alpha minus I beta. Then this alpha is the real part and this beta is the imaginary part. In that case, you have to write the solution directly as e to the power real part. Okay, e to the power alpha times x in bracket constant cos of, for angle we have to use imaginary part, that is beta, cos of beta x plus another constant b sine of beta x. Okay, and the proof of that solution is here. I already taught you the proof. Okay, but in case of example, you just have to write the solution directly in this form. If you get the complex root, just identify the real part, another is a bit imaginary part, and write the solution in this form. That's it. That's it you have to do. Okay, any doubt in this case? Yeah. Are you understand this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good.
Sir, actually, it is hard to understand in derivative part. Can you explain it with an example?
Okay, let's go to the example. Very good. Yeah, let's go to the example. Yes, I'm showing you one example. Yes. Okay.
Sir,
Mute your.
case number 3.
Huh?
Sir, could you explain again case number 3?
Okay, let me go through it once again. I'm just erasing it. think some part not getting it, huh? Okay, student, actually case number 3 is very simple as compared to other cases. If you have complex roots m1 is equal to alpha plus I beta, then I am telling you that by default you are going to get its complex conjugate as also root. But in case of example, you don't have to worry what doing by complex conjugate and all this. By default you will get its complex conjugate as a one root. Okay, so in that case you have to just consider that root, original root alpha plus I beta. So its real part is alpha and imaginary part is beta. And if you want to write the solution, our case number 1 is what? Write the solution in terms of y is equal to c1 e to the power first root x plus c2 e to the power second root times x. Okay, the same procedure we are following here, but for practice purpose we are not going to use this case number 1 always. So can we get a very simplified form in this case of complex numbers? Yes, we can. So that simplified form is written here, that is y is equal to e to the power alpha x in bracket a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. But how? So for that case I am explaining here step by step. Since we have this solution, okay, c1 e to the power alpha plus I beta x plus c2 e to the power alpha minus I beta x, I am just using the rule of exponent. What is the rule of exponent? A to the power x plus iy is equal to a to the power x into a to the power y. Similarly, here we have e to the power alpha plus I beta times x. So I am just separating e to the power alpha x into, using this rules of exponent, using this e to the power I beta x, okay, plus c2 as it is e to the power alpha times x, okay, into e to the power minus I times beta x. Okay, now we can see e to the power alpha x is a common term, we can take it outside. So e to the power alpha x times c1 e to the power I beta x, because this term, plus c2 as it is e to the power minus I beta x. And after that step we have to use this Euler's identities here written over here, e to the power I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta. But this time here in the example we have theta as a beta x, not only theta, because coefficient of I that you have to consider. So here the coefficient of I is what? Beta x. And using that formula we have c1 as it is cos beta x instead of cos theta, cos beta x plus I as it is sin beta x. Okay, now what about next term? C2 as it is, and instead of coefficient I you have to consider, this time we have minus beta times x, not beta x, because here look at here, e to the power I times theta, whatever the coefficient of I that you have to consider. So here we have minus I times beta x, so the coefficient of I is minus beta x, and just put the values of theta, just replace theta by minus beta x in the second formula. So we have c2 cos beta x. Now cos of minus beta x, but cos is an even function, that means cos of minus x is the same as cos of x. That's why I have written here cos beta x instead of cos of minus beta x. And what about second term? Sine is an odd function, so whatever you are writing, sine of minus beta x is going to give you minus times sine of beta x. Okay, so that's why this minus sign is outside, and we have I times I that comes from this formula, I as it is, and because of this odd function we are getting negative sign. So just club the terms of cos beta x and sin beta x together. So we have c1 cos beta x, so c1, and here we have c2 cos beta. So we can take c1 plus c2 cos beta x, and the for I times c1 minus I times c2 times sin beta x. And just for simplified notation, I'm just using c1 plus c2 as another constant, say it is a, and for I c1 minus I c2 another constant, say it is b. And that's why we get the simplified form. After putting these constants, we get e to the power alpha x a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. So in short, whenever you got the roots as a complex root, m1 is equal to alpha plus I beta, by default you are going to get alpha minus I beta as a root, and so you have to consider only this root. Alpha, its real part is alpha, its imaginary part is beta, and you have to write the solution as e to the power alpha x in bracket a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. Are you understand this now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me go to the example. Okay, let me go to the example. So consider this example, d square plus 1 y equal to 0. Our process is very simple. What is the process? You have to consider auxiliary equation, isn't it? auxiliary equation you have to consider. So what is the auxiliary equation here? We can see d square plus 1 equal to 0. This is auxiliary equation. Now let us find out the roots. Now can you tell me the roots of this d square plus 1 equal to 0? Obviously you are going to get complex roots. It is equal to plus minus r. Now you might be wondering, sir, how? Let me explain it. Actually, you just have to use quadratic formula. Okay, if you don't know how to get the roots directly, you can use this. You can use calculator or you can use quadratic formula. So let me explain it with the help of quadratic formula. So just we have quadratic equation here, d square plus 1 equal to 0. So the formula for quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. Now let us compare the values of a, b, c. So value of a is, in this case, it is coefficient of d square, therefore a equal to 1, and value of x means d. The coefficient of d is 0 because d is absent, so we have b equal to 0, and constant term is what? 1. So we have c equal to 1. Now look at this formula, x is equal to minus b. Okay, so therefore d equal to minus b is 0, so 0 plus minus, okay, plus minus square root of b square minus ac, but b square is 0 minus 4 times AC, a into c, that is 1 into 1. So it is simply minus 4, and divided by what? 2 times a, but a is 1, so divided by 2. Okay, so therefore we get d equal to 0 as it is, it's gone, plus minus, okay, square root of minus 4 divided by 2. But what about this square root of minus 4? It is a negative negative square root now. So square root of inside that number is negative, so we don't know how to get the square root. So it belongs to complex number because discriminant is negative. That's why it is, I can write this as plus minus square root of 4 is 2. Okay, and for that negative square root we have to take I, yeah, and divided by 2. So that is simply 2 to get cancelled, plus minus I, and that's why I'm getting the roots here. You can see directly d is equal to plus minus I. Okay, that's the reason. You don't have to follow this process, quadratic formula. If you have good practice, directly you can write this as plus minus I. Okay, or you can use this quadratic formula. So we get two roots, I and minus I. As I told you that whenever you get the complex root, by default you are going to get its complex conjugate as a root. So here we can see m1 is equal to, I just want to write real and imaginary part. That's why I'm writing here 0 plus I, or you can skip that step. So m1 is equal to 0 plus I, and by default you are getting minus I, that is complex conjugate 0 minus I. Okay, so you have to consider only this part. Do not think about this complex conjugate. Okay, so its real part is what? Alpha, and imaginary part, that means coefficient of I, it is what? 1. Okay, and so what is the solution? The solution is we already obtained the simplified form, that is y is equal to e to the power alpha x in bracket a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. And what is the value of alpha? Alpha is 0 here, so e to the power 0x. And what is the value of beta here? Coefficient of I, that is 1. So I'm just putting those values here in this expression. So we get e to the power 0x inside a cos x plus b sin x. And that's why the final solution of this problem is y is equal to a cos x plus b sin x. Are you understand this? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good. So this is all about case number 3. If you have some roots are complex, then in that case you have to write the solution in this form directly. No need to follow this process. Directly you can write the solution. Y is equal to e to the power alpha x in bracket a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. Okay. Now let's move ahead to the case number 4. That is, if roots are complex and repeated, in that case what? So we are dealing with the complex root, and in that complex root, some roots of complex roots get repeated. For example, if we have m1 is equal to m2 is equal to alpha plus I beta, that means we have complex root and which gets repeated. So as I told you, by default you are going to get this complex conjugate as a root. So it is repeated twice. That's why its complex conjugate also gets repeated twice. So we have two more roots, m3 is equal to m4 is equal to alpha minus I beta. Okay, so don't think about that. Now what about the solution in case of complex root? What will there any change? Yes, there is, of course there is a change, like that case number 2. So what will be the change? You can look the final expression. Y is equal to e to the power alpha x. It is same as that of case number 3, and but inside look at the coefficients of cos beta x and sin beta x. It is a1 plus a2x, and here b1 plus b2x. So it is similarly it looks like similar to that of case number 2. There we just adjust x. Here also we have to adjust, we have to add that term x. Okay, so what is the reason behind it? The reason is very simple. It follows from the case number 2. Suppose we have repeated root, m1 is equal to m2 is equal to alpha plus I beta, then we have to write the solution from it follows from the case number 2 that y is equal to c1 plus c2x e to the power first root, that is alpha plus I beta x. Okay, I am writing here e to the power alpha plus I beta times x. And again, two roots gets repeated. Complex conjugate roots also gets repeated. So for that case, we have to write c3 plus c4x e to the power alpha minus I beta x. And this follows from the case number 2. Remember. Okay. Now let's simplify it and collect the cos terms, sin terms together. So let's have proceed e to the power alpha x. I'm taking common e to the power alpha x, e to the power alpha x, just taking common, and inside we have c1 plus c2x times e to the power that beta x. But e to the power I times beta x is what? That formula e to the power I theta. Let me remind you that e to the power I theta is equal to what? Cos theta plus I times sin theta, and I'm just directly using that formula. So e to the power I beta x nothing but the cos beta x plus I sin beta x, and here we have c3 plus c4x. And e to the power alpha x already taken common, e to the power minus I beta x nothing but the cos beta x minus I sin beta x. Now let us collect the terms, cos terms and sin terms. So we have c1 times cos beta x. Okay, c1 here we can take addition with c3 cos beta x. Okay, that's why c1 plus c3. Again c2x. Okay, c2x, and here we have c4 times x times cos beta x. That's why c2 plus c4 times x. And again, outside bracket we have cos beta x, because these are the coefficients of cos beta x. Now what about sin? Now again we can see I times this c1. That's why I times this c1. And in the second term we have minus I times this c3. So that's why I times c1 minus I times c3. And what about second term? So c2x times I. Okay, I times c2. That is I times c2. And in the second term we have minus I times c4. So minus I times c4 times x. Okay, and these are the coefficients of what? Sin beta x. So times sin beta x, and like that case number 3 we have to, for simplified notation, we have to use a very simple notation. Instead of c1 plus c3 I can replace this by another notation, say a1, and c2 plus c4 we can replace it by another notation, say it is a2. Another constant, arbitrary constant I am using instead of c2 plus c4. So cos beta x as it is, x this term x as it is. Okay, in the next we have ic1 minus ic3. I am using notation b1. Okay, and for ic2 minus ic4 I am using another constant, say it is b2 times x, and this sin beta x as it is. So in short, whenever you get complex roots which gets repeated, in that case what will be the change? Change is only in the coefficient of cos beta x and sin beta x. So roots get repeated twice, so you have to go up to x, a1 plus a2x, and here b1 plus b2x. If for example, if roots get repeated 3 times, for example, if you have m1 is equal to m2 is equal to m3 is equal to alpha plus I beta 3 times. So by default you are going to get m4 is equal to m5 is equal to m6 is equal to alpha minus I beta. And in that case what will be the solution? Solution is what? Y equal to e to the power alpha x as it is, and a1 plus a2x plus a3 x square, because this time roots get repeated 3 times. That's why up to x square, cos beta x as it is, and similarly plus b1 plus b2x plus b3 x square times sin beta x. That's it. So as far as your exam is concerned, so this case is a little bit lengthy, so you may not get examples based on this case, but for your information, it is a very good method. And if you came across some problem, and if you have to use this case number 4, definitely you must know this case. Okay, so are you understand this step, case number 4? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in short, what you have to understand, simply if the roots get repeated, the change only in the coefficient of cos beta x and sin beta x. That's it. Only that much thing you have to remember. All the procedure I have given the proof, you can forget it. Okay, simply you have to consider only change we have to do in the coefficient of cos beta x and sin beta x in case of complex roots, and it is get repeated. Okay, that's it. Let me summarize what we have learned. The first case is all roots are real and distinct. For example, m1, m2, up to m suffix n. In that case, we have to write the solution in this way: c1 e to the power m1x plus c2 e to the power m2x, and so on up to cn e to the power m suffix n x, because all roots are real and distinct, and that's why we are writing the solution in terms of this exponential form. And the second is what? Second is all roots are real and some of them are repeated. For example, we have first two roots get repeated, m1 is equal to m2, then we have to change here c1 plus c2x e to the power that root times x, and for the rest of the root you have to write the solution according to the case number 1, because they are all real and distinct. And what about case number 3? Some roots are complex and some are real numbers. For example, m1 is equal to alpha plus I beta. By default, you are going to get m2 is equal to alpha minus I beta. So in that case, for this case, you have to write the solution e to the power alpha x c1. I have used notation a1 b1. You can use c1 c2, whatever the notation you want to use, you can. Okay, so e to the power alpha x c1 cos beta x plus c2 sin beta x, and for remaining root they are all real and distinct. So from case number 1 we have to write the solution. So this is little bit the mixture of case number 1 and case number 3 that I have taught to you. That is some of the roots are complex and some of the roots are real and distinct. So this is a mixture of case number 1 and case number 3. So you have to write the solution accordingly. So corresponding to the complex number, you have to write the solution this much part up to this cos sin beta x. And for the remaining root, they are all real and distinct. So it follows from the case number 1, that is C3 onward. Okay. Now what about some roots are complex and repeated? For example, if you have m1 is equal to m2 is equal to alpha plus I beta, then definitely m3 is equal to m4 is equal to alpha minus I beta, and m5 m6 up to mn are real and distinct. So this is also again a little bit the mixture of case number 1 and case number 4. So corresponding to this complex and repeated root, you have to write the solution. Only change in the cos beta coefficient of cos beta x and sin beta x. Look at here, e to the power alpha x as it is, c1 plus c2x coefficient of cos beta x, c3 plus c4x coefficient of sin beta x, because these roots get repeated 2 times. If it is 3 times, then c1 plus c2x plus c3 x square cos beta x, and c3 plus c4 x plus c5 x cube sin beta x. That change you have to do. And corresponding to real and distinct root, you have to write the solution according to the case number 1. That is the summary of the complementary function. Now let us go towards the examples so your concept get clear. So here we have example number 1. So solve the following differential equation. Okay, so little bit on the right hand side of the page I have written the process. The process is very simple. Consider auxiliary equation. After that, find the roots, and depending upon the nature of the roots, you have to write the solution. Depending upon nature of the roots means what? 4 cases: real and distinct, real and repeated, complex number, complex and repeated. These are the 4 cases. So according to that, you have to write the solution. Okay, so we have this differential equation. Consider auxiliary equation. So auxiliary equation is what? Corresponding to this, we have d square 3 as it is. Corresponding to this dy by dx, we have d and constant term 2 equal to 0. Now my aim is to find roots. Now choice is your, use calculator, use quadratic formula, or use factorization method. Here I am going to use factorization method. Okay, so I want two numbers such that their product is 2 and their addition must be 3. So I can write this as d square plus 2 times d plus d, because product of 2 into 1 is 2 and their addition 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, that's it. So we have d square plus 2d plus d plus 2 equal to 0. Now from the first two term I'm going to take d common. So we have d times d plus 2. Okay, and from the last two term, that is d plus 2, I'm going to take 1 as a common. So it is a material whether you are taking 1 common or not. So just for simplification, I'm writing 1 times d plus 2 equal to 0. Now I can see d plus 2 is a common term, so I can take it common further. So therefore d plus 1 times d plus 2 equal to 0, and corresponding to this term d plus 1 equal to 0, we are getting d equal to minus 1, and corresponding to this term d plus 2 equal to 0, we are getting minus 2 as a root. So observe these two roots. They are real. Obviously they are negative, but they are real. Real means what? Entire real line. All fraction, transcendental numbers, real fraction, integers, all belongs to that set of real number. So they are real. 1 second. Okay. So real and as well as they are distinct. So from case number 1 that we have studied, from case number 1, we have to write the solution as c1 e to the power m1x. What is m1? That is minus 1, minus times x, plus c2 e to the power m2x. What is m2? m2 is what? Minus 2. Here we have m1 is equal to minus 1 and m2 is equal to minus 2. And that's why we have to write the solution, and it follows from the case number 1. Now what about in case of roots get this is, let us take one more example. D square minus 1 times y equal to 0, which is same as in the traditional notation. It can be written as d2y by dx square minus y equal to 0. So first step is obviously consider auxiliary equation. So I'm considering d square minus 1 equal to 0. So simplifying this, we just have to take the d square minus 1 equal to 0. So d square equal to 1. So this implies that d is equal to square root of 1, but we want two roots, so it is simply plus minus 1. Okay, or you can use quadratic formula. This is very simple. D is equal to plus minus 1. These are the two roots, and again they are real and distinct because one root is 1 and another is what? Minus 1. So you have to write the solution YCF as c1 e to the power minus x plus c2 e to the power x. You may have a question, sir, what if you change the position? If I write the solution YCF is equal to c1 e to the power x plus c2 e to the power minus x. But here I have written the solution. First I have written e to the power minus x, and second I have written e to the power x. But I am writing e to the power x plus first and e to the power minus x second. Then will it be solution? Yes. It doesn't matter whether you are writing the e to the power x first and then e to the power minus x. It doesn't matter. Position will not matter because it is going to satisfy the given differential equation. So don't worry about that. Position will not matter whether you are considering 1 as a first root and minus 1 as a second root. No, or vice versa. Doesn't matter. OK. And what about real and repeated root? So for example, d minus 4 times square y equal to 0. This is another example. So auxiliary equation is what? D minus 4 square equal to 0. And because of that square, we have two factors. D minus 4 equal to 0, D minus 4 equal to 0. So from the first factor, we are getting 4 as a root, and from the second factor, we are getting 4 as another root. And so this time we can see the root get repeated 4, and that's why it follows from the case number 2 that we have to write the solution YCF is equal to C1 plus C2x. It follows from the case number 2 e to the power 4x, that root times x. Okay. Now what about complex? So consider d square plus 1 y equal to 0. So auxiliary equation is what? D square plus 1 equal to 0. This is auxiliary equation, and that's why we are getting d square plus 1 equal to 0, and therefore d square equal to minus 1, and therefore square root of minus 1 is what? Plus minus I. The proof is I already provided the proof. You can use quadratic formula and you will get discriminant as a negative number, and that's why we are getting two roots plus minus I. And by default, by default you are getting complex conjugate as a root. So one root is I and its complex conjugate is what? Minus I. So the real part is what? Alpha is equal to 0 and beta is what? Imaginary part. So therefore the formula for writing the solution of in case of complex number, we have this formula YCF is equal to e to the power alpha x in bracket a cos beta x plus b sin beta x. But what is the value of alpha? It is 0, okay, and beta is 1. So I'm just putting those values. So we get YCF is equal to a cos x plus b sin x. That's the solution. Now what about mixture of two cases? So we have before that I will go to the higher order differential equation. So we have d minus 1 d square minus 4 times y equal to 0. So this is little bit higher order. Higher order means what? Order is, we can see order is 3 this time, and that's why we are going to get 3 roots, because number of roots must be equal to order of that differential equation. So we consider auxiliary equation. So directly you can consider this auxiliary equation. Just for your understanding, I am writing this in every form. That means you may have this d minus 1 d square minus 4 times y equal to 0, or you may have d cube minus 4 times d minus d square plus 4 times y equal to 0, or you may have example in this form d cube y by dx cube minus d2y by dx square minus 4 times dy by dx plus 4 times y. All are equivalent. They are all are equivalent. Okay, equivalent to each other. So auxiliary equation is what? This term which is inside bracket d minus 1 times d square minus 4 equal to 0, and already this is simplified form. So from the first factor we get d minus 1 equal to 0, and from the second we have d square minus 4 equal to 0, and that's why we get d equal to 1 as a one root, and from the second factor we get d equal to d square equal to 4. That means d equal to square root of 4. Square root of 4, two possibilities, plus minus 2. Okay, that's why we get d equal to plus minus 2. So total roots are 1, 2, minus 2, and all roots are real and they are distinct. That's why the solution is what? C1 e to the power first root times x plus C2 e to the power second root times x plus C3 e to the power third root minus 2 times x. Okay, now come to the example number 6. D square plus 4 d minus 1 times y equal to 0. Again consider process is same auxiliary equation, roots, and depending upon the nature of the roots you have to write the solution. So d square plus 4 times d minus 1 equal to 0. So from this factor we have d minus 1 equal to 0, and this d square plus 4 equal to 0. Okay, so d minus 1 going to give you 1 as a root. So we have d equal to 1 as a root. And what about this? Let me simplify here. So d square plus 4 equal to 0. You can use quadratic formula or you can use calculator. I will write this directly as d square equal to minus 4. Okay, and just take the square root. D equal to square root of minus 4. But it is same as you can say I times square root of 4. But what is square root of 4? Plus minus 2. So plus minus 2 times I. Okay, that's it. So that's why we get d equal to plus minus 2i as a roots. They are roots and complex conjugate to each other. Okay, so total roots are what? D equal to 1, 2i, minus 2i. These are the roots, and this is a little bit the mixture of first case and case number 3. So corresponding to real root, you have to follow a solution must follow from the case number 1, that is c1 e to the power that root times x, and plus corresponding to complex root. So 2i, we have 2i as a root, so it is simply 0 plus 2i, and that is alpha part, and this is as a beta part. Okay, coefficient of I. So value of alpha is what? 0. So that's why e to the power 0x in bracket a cos beta x. What is beta? Beta is 2. So a times cos 2x plus b times sin beta x, that is sin 2x, and that's why we get the final solution YCF as c1 e to the power x plus a times cos beta x plus b times sin 2x. Okay, are you understand all examples? Yeah, everything is clear now?
Last one, 6.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Somebody said last example. Any doubt in last example?
Yes, sir. 6.
Shall I explain again? Do you want me to explain it?
रूट के बात करो, माइनस 2 आया है ना?
हाँ, माइनस 2 आया भी आया है.
हाँ, तो उसका क्या करेंगे?
Why? Good question. Actually, students, whenever you are dealing with the complex numbers, so I already told you in the cases that you don't have to worry about this minus 2i. But if you want to use this minus 2i in case of your solution, so let me explain it. For example, if you got the solution, roots are 1, 2i, and minus 2i. I'm taking this case. And somebody said, so I don't want to use this 2i. I want to use minus 2i in my solution. So it doesn't matter. So let me explain it. Y is equal to, corresponding to this, you are writing c1 e to the power x plus e to the power alpha. Obviously, real part is what? 0, because it will be 0 minus 2 times I. So real part is what? 0. So 0 times x. Okay, in bracket a times. You're writing cos beta x, but this time what is the value of beta? It is minus 2 because of this minus 2. So a times cos of minus 2x, okay, plus I times sine of minus 2x, isn't it? But if you simplify it further, let me remind you once again, cos of minus x is nothing but the cos x. That is even function, and sine of minus x is nothing but the minus times sine x. I am going to use these two things here. So this will be, let me write here, this will be y equal to c1 e to the power x as it is. Okay, e to the power 0 is what? 1. Okay, in bracket, but a cos of minus x is same as cos x. Therefore, cos of minus 2x is same as cos 2x, isn't it? So therefore, instead of cos of minus 2x, I am writing cos of 2x, okay, plus I. But sine of minus x is equal to minus sine x, so I am writing sine of minus 2x is same as minus 2 times, minus times sine 2x. Okay, so I'm just taking minus outside, so minus 1 times sine of 2x, isn't it? And b times I. Okay, 1 minute. Just me erase it. Okay. So b times I times this minus 1 times sine 2x. Now I'm just replacing y is equal to c1 e to the power x. I'm just replacing a by another notation c2 cos 2x, and I am concluding that minus times beta is a c2. So c2 I sine 2x. Okay, I'm just putting this bi minus 1 as a another constant. Say it is c2. 1 minute. Okay. So we have c2 is equal to c3. C3 is equal to I times b minus I times b. This is another constant. So observe this solution and whatever you got in this solution. Here you got solution y is equal to c1 e to the power x, a cos 2x, and b times sine 2x. But if you use negative root, that means minus 2i. So one more step you have to do. What? This formulates like that, sine of minus 2x is equal to minus sine 2x. And again you have to replace this minus I beta by another constant, say it is c3, and you will get the solution y is equal to c1 e to the power x plus c2 cos 2x plus c3 sine 2x, which is equivalent to this solution. Are you understand? You're done? Do I have any doubt further? Yes.
Okay. So Vignesh.
Vignesh.
Hello. Sir,
Vignesh.
I wanted to ask you. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you that we can't take that negative sign with the equation.
Where?
So in this equation, you have taught that you substituted that minus I times beta as C3. So
yeah,
we can't represent it like that only, like a cos 2x minus beta I times sine 2x. Can't we write it like that?
If you write up to this, it is good, but to get the simplified form,